I mean, come on. I mean, who are these people? I mean, we used to call them troglodytes and Neanderthals. How they get on the power? I don't know. A basket of them. Laura. Yes, ma'am. Okay, what do you want? What do you want to do? And let me see if I agree.
Just defer the minutes.
Okay, you want to defer the minutes? All right, we'll call for the minutes, but then we'll just say they're deferred. Okay. Okay.
We have two other deferrals, but those are applicant.
On here, we have deferrals?
Yeah.
Okay, who's deferring?
The 2615 Alhambra was deferred.
I'm sorry.
2615 Alhambra, the first COA.
Okay, this is deferred. So we're going to have a really short meeting.
We only have three. So
So this is deferred.
This one.
Is deferred too?
Deferred. So we only have three, starting with 8:14. For the, yes, you see the little note for obesity will be February. For the other one, we don't have one because they just didn't respond. They were deferred to this meeting and didn't show up.
Okay.
Yeah, give me comments after. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pull the meeting to order. If you would take your seats, please.
Chat about it. The motion I made wasn't really clear.
I was complaining about the city commission. They found our thing incompetent. I was like,
Substantial
You're doing
thing.
hors d'oeuvres?
I don't know what they said.
Is that what you're doing?
they didn't say that. So they're like,
Because I was like, if they said
All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Bacon
I
wrapped
didn't hear
dates?
that they said that. I was like,
Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the City of Coral
No, you
Gables
don't get
Historic
anything.
Preservation Board.
They're good at room
We're
temperature.
residents of Coral Gables and are charged with the preservation and protection of historic or architecturally worthy buildings, structures, sites, neighborhoods, and artifacts, which impart a distinct historical heritage to the city. The board is comprised of 9 members, 7 of whom are appointed by the commission, 1 by the city manager, and the 9th is selected by the board and confirmed by the commission. 5 members of the board constitute a quorum, and 5 affirmative votes are necessary for the adoption of any motion. Any person who acts as a lobbyist pursuant to the City of Coral Gables Ordinance 2006-11 must register with the city clerk prior to engaging in lobbying activities or presentations before city staff, boards, committees, and/or the city commission. A copy of the ordinance is available in the office of the city clerk. Failure to register and provide proof of registration shall prohibit your ability to present to the Historic Preservation Board on applications under consideration this afternoon. A lobbyist is defined as an individual, corporation, partnership, or other legal entity employed or retained, whether paid or not, by a principal who seeks to engage and encourage the approval, disapproval, adoption, repeal, passage, defeat, or modifications of any ordinance, resolution, action, or decision of any city commissioner, any action, decision, recommendation of the city manager, or any city board or committee, including but not limited to quasi-judicial, advisory board, trust, authority, or council, or any action, decision, or recommendation of city personnel during the time period of the entire decision-making process on the action, decision, or recommendation which foreseeably will be heard or reviewed by the city commission, or a city board or committee, including but not limited to quasi-judicial, advisory board, trust, authority, or council, Presentations made to this board are subject to the city's false claim ordinance, Chapter 39 of the City of Coral Gables City Code. I now officially call the City of Coral Gables Historic Preservation Board meeting of, what is today? The 19th? 15th, I'm sorry, of January 15th to order. The time is 4:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today, on my left, we have Ms. Shield. We have Ms. Ebert, Ms. Rolando, and Ms. Dene. Getting long here. Ms. Alvarez is on the left, Ms. Spain, Mr. Silva, and Mr. Garcia Pons are here today, as well as our staff, Ms. Pernis, and our associate, Ms. Cow. Approval of the minutes. We have a deferral. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes held on December whatever is deferred.
Yes. So staff is requesting to defer the minutes so we can make some corrections that were pointed out to us.
We'll get there. Thank you. Ex parte communications. Please be advised that this board is a quasi-judicial board, and the items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature, which requires board members to disclose all ex parte communications. An ex parte communication is defined as any contact, communication, conversation, correspondence, memorandum, or other written or verbal communication that takes place outside a public hearing between a member of the public and a member of the quasi-judicial board regarding matters to be heard by the quasi-judicial board. If anyone has made any contact with a board member, when the issue comes before the board, the member must state on the record the existence of the ex parte communication, the party who originated the communication, and whether the communication will affect the board member's ability to impartially consider the evidence to be presented regarding the matter. We have some deferrals in the agenda, and those are for item number 2, case file COA SPO 2025-023, and case file COA SP 2025-001. Okay.
Just to be clear, for SP 2020, it's actually 2026-001, 1341 Obispo Avenue. The special certificates of appropriateness will be deferred to the February 12th hearing. So
Very
just
good.
to make sure the date's certain of February 12th.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
So this one's on.
At this time, if any persons in the audience will be testifying today, please rise and be sworn in. That includes anyone who's going to be speaking today. Please raise your right hand.
3. That leaves us with 3.
Thank you very much. Okay. Let me get to this. Okay. Deferred. Okay. All right, so the next item on the agenda we're going to be coming in is case file COA
Sorry, Chair.
SP 2020, I'm sorry?
Apologies. The applicant for the architect for 814 Santiago, the next COA, hasn't arrived yet. So the architect for the case file you're about to read hasn't arrived yet.
Okay.
So we're gonna, if we can, go a little out of order to allow for the next item, 1116 Obispo Avenue, to go ahead of them. It's number 5.
Number 5. Okay, very good. Okay.
One question for staff.
Number 5.
You had mentioned that one of the cases was deferred, and you mentioned it as 2026-001. You changed the number?
Yes.
The next
2026.
item is 2026-01.
Oh, wait, I apologize. That's my mistake. So 1341 Obispo Avenue, that was deferred to the February 12th, 2026 meeting, is 2025-001. This is the other Obispo Avenue, is 1116.
All right.
And it is a 2026 file.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question before
We're
we
going to
start?
the new guy. Doesn't-
I was trying to access the agenda and all the attachments, the links and everything, and
Yeah.
it was incomplete, there was
So
things missing.
on Monday afternoon, we had some technical difficulties with that, and they were available all within the evening hours, but everything was
Wasn't able to-
published.
I mean, I was not around, and in order to do it, I typically do it on the weekends,
Uh-huh.
and it wasn't, nothing was working.
Right,
A
everything
lot
was,
of- A lot of things were missing, staff reports were missing, the links weren't working. So my question is, are these all legally before us? I mean,
Yes.
were the property owners notified? Were they sent the staff reports in a timely fashion so that we can do this?
they received the reports on Tuesday afternoon. Typically, the agendas need to be published 3 days in advance. Monday is legally the 3-day advance publishing date.
They didn't get it till Tuesday.
They didn't get it till Tuesday.
And was it published in the paper?
Yes, the advertising was published in the paper, the notices that had for variances were issued, and the postings were all put in place in
And what
timely manner.
I'll tell you why I was
Well, the
very
IT issue, I couldn't, that's, we were having the same frustration at the same time. BOA's agendas were having the same problem because they were publishing at the same day. And I was touching base with their team because I was wondering why our agenda actually kept disappearing and then showing back up. Because at one point when I was talking to Caesar, he had emailed and I said, hold on, because I went in, it was completely gone when I had published it. So it was just, I'll talk to the clerk about these issues because it's happened in the past, and then usually we get them up, because typically we get them on Friday. We try to do everything by Friday with the holidays this week, and then our meeting being the last meeting right before the holidays, we just didn't have time to kind of get everything together, but
Next time something like this happens, if you could,
yeah, we'll send an email to everybody.
to everyone.
Yeah.
So I don't spend
Sorry.
an inordinate amount of time thinking it's my fault that I couldn't get anything to work.
Oh, no, we'll send an email when there's a technical difficulty. I know that Caesar had reached out, so we had told him like to hold off a second, but we figured it out, but everything was published on Monday, as required by the code. Oh, and now we already told them they could go, so.
Do we have the architect here behind you?
Yes.
Okay,
Do we
if
want to
you-
go in order?
Yes, go ahead and have him sworn in, please, and then we'll just go ahead and go back to item number 4, 261014, which is at the 814 Santiago Street.
I know, wouldn't it be easier? But for the record, I guess.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Anna, would you like to do the presentation on this, please?
City.
Okay. Okay, we've got case file COA SP 2026-001, an application for the issuance of a special certificate of appropriateness for the property at 814 Santiago Street, a contributing resource within the Santiago Street Historic District, legally described as the south one-half lot 6 and all of lot 7 and 8, block 2, Mariana Place, according to Plat Book 9, page 111, Miami-Dade County. Application requests design approval for the additions and alterations and site work. A variance has also been requested from Section 2-101D4C of the City of Coral Gables Code for minimum rear setback. Ms. Pernis.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Board. Anna Pernis, Historic Preservation Officer. Should have started there earlier. This is an application before you for 814 Santiago Street. The Santiago Street Historic District is a collection of 5 homes located along Santiago Street between Southwest 8th Street and Mariana Avenue on the south. This residence typifies the eclectic Mediterranean revival style of cottage, which was featured and promoted in the early stages of the city's development. As mentioned by the chair, this is an approval, a request for an approval for a second-story addition atop an existing garage, existing original garage, and a 2014 addition, alterations and site work to the existing residence. A variance has also been requested for the minimum rear setback of the addition. Staff is comfortable with the addition occurring over the 2014 garage bay, but would like the applicant to restudy the addition to minimize the impact of the addition to the original one-story garage structure. This might involve reconfiguring the programmer over the 2014 garage and or studying the roof type of the 2-story addition. Staff is concerned, as mentioned, that the addition should be subordinate to the historic structure and that the proposed project meets the Secretary of Interior standard for planning an addition on a secondary elevation. but that the addition overwhelms the remaining original one-story garage and would not be easily reversible. Staff is recommending approval of the COA with the conditions noted and approval of the variance, but would like first the applicant to work with staff on how to mitigate some of the impact on the one-story structure.
Thank you.
And click through here, and then this is laser pointer if you need it. You could just point it to the screen. Yeah, there you go.
Great. Hi, good afternoon. I'm Giorgio Antoniazzi. I'm the architect for this addition here, and I'm representing Hung Nguyen. He's the owner, and he's with us today. It's always a pleasure for me to be here presenting a historic project. Anytime a historic element or historic portion of a project comes through our doors, we take it very seriously, and I think if we've come this far, it's something that we can stand behind and that we're happy to be presenting to you. Hung came to me and he asked, we could look at his site and find any opportunities to add additional square footage. At the time, he was awaiting his newborn and was expecting not only to have a new person in the house, but many people to come visit him and likely stay more than one night at a time. As we began to study the lot and look for opportunities on the ground floor to practically add more square footage to the structure, we found very quickly that anything or any space that we could actually find where we could add space, it would not be consequential and likely would create more challenges with the historic structure. It would likely end up more towards the front of the property. So we kind of changed our approach, and we set our eyes on something that I think is more commonplace, adding a second story to the semi-detached garage in the rear of the property. There's a great benefit to this. They could likely build this while they still remain in the home. The larger portion of the addition is over the new addition of the home and not the original portion of the home. Having that space, so actually, this is what it looks like now. So you see the two garages here. This left one is the original garage that we saw in the historic portion before, and this right-hand side is the new garage that was added a few years ago. So our idea is to add above that portion, mostly on this side, and have an extension over the original part of the garage to create a space that would work both as a home office and likely a suite that guests could use to stay overnight or multiple nights. The Board of Architects had a suggestion to thicken the front wall of the garage here. So that's that double wall element that you see there. Currently, these two the garage and the new garage and the old wall both sit on the same plane. And to me, I don't think that does anything for the addition or for the historic home. I actually agree that thickening that wall allows for the historic portion of the house and the new element to be set apart, more easily be told apart. You also see that the rear portion of the addition has been set back, and this allows for that existing original volume of the garage to act as a transitional element from the historic structure to the new construction part of the home. I really think this is an appropriate approach for this house. I think it enhances the building, and it's not an uncommon storyline for even a Mediterranean revival building in Florida and even other states. From the street, you'll see that the addition actually doesn't take away from the primary structure. So likely the on-street character of the building remains about the same and actually creates a beautiful vista towards the end of the driveway instead of sort of a dead end like it is now. So I look forward to your comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members of the board, questions?
I have a, anyways,
Turn it on.
thank you. My question to you is, what's the square footage of the original house? Because how much are you adding?
We're only adding about 600 square feet, 650.
Wow.
Yeah.
It just looks so much larger.
But let's look at, and maybe we can pull up the PowerPoint again. I think there's a great diagram that we can look at. So if you look at this top diagram, that's the existing conditions as they are today. And this little gable roof garage that you see here was added on a few years ago. I really don't think that addition does anything for the house. If anything, it takes away from the original garage. And here's what we're proposing. So it's really just that L that's on top of the two garages. So it is a big home overall, though.
It is? Yes, now.
So Marlon, I had the same question. That the house is about 3,000 plus square feet, and it just, because of the roof, the tile roof, it looks like it's a lot more percentage-wise, but in reality, it is an extension of the garage.
Yeah.
Which I
That's right.
appreciate the way that you've found square footage that is meaningful and yet maybe a little tall. I agree with staff, but not intrusive to the front of the house. It is way in the back. So, do you have any thoughts on the city staff's thoughts on the height of the addition?
So I'll say that I think we agreed to all the conditions except I like the idea of thickening the wall of the new garage. I think that, again, that allows us to better differentiate the new structure versus the original, and also allows us to, when we create those windows on the second floor, to have more dimensional architectural elements there. So when you're only working with an 8-inch wall, suddenly now we have some thickness to work with up there. I do agree that we could look at different options for the roof that extends over this portion here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but
Yeah.
the portion of the extension that is over the original garage, I'm happy to look at different ways of maybe not having a sloped roof there, maybe having a flat roof there, so that it looks less massive in elevation. However, I think from a design intent standpoint, I think programmatically, this is largely what we want to do. But I'm happy to look at fenestration. I'm happy to look at the roof treatment for the rear portion of the addition with staff. We're happy to make it better.
Thank you.
What are the inside spaces height on the floor to ceilings? Or do you have that whole?
They're going to be, the front, we haven't delved too much into that portion, but they should be about 8'6" or 9 feet at the lowest, and we plan to have some vaulted ceilings.
Thank you.
Yep.
And through the chair, I did have a question for staff. So for the comment on the COA report is, I think, a little bit vague. If you can clarify what, I'll read it into the record. The applicant is to continue to work with staff to minimize the impact of the addition to the original one-story building.
Yeah, we wanted to be able to give some flexibility to the architect to give options of either rearranging some of the program to either use some of the ground floor space of the garage to pull some of the mass of the second floor down into that space and make the second floor smaller, or look at options for like the roof or the height, or putting in that flat roof, or how you can minimize the overwhelming feel. Because right now, as you could see from if you go back to, sorry.
You want to look this one?
Yeah, so that elevation, it's kind of being surrounded on all three sides. So, and that's why I think part of the reason, like having that the 2014 edition now come forward of it doesn't help the condition of, it's just only reducing the hierarchy from that building.
Okay, well, I think it's probably okay, but I appreciate the thought of the architect if they're interested in maybe changing the roof that's over the connecting roof. That way the gable and the front has more separation from the flat roofs. There may be a visual difference, but I
think
appreciate
so.
staff's comment.
Yeah. I think in terms of that concern, not to keep rehashing the same thing, but I feel like right now it doesn't have hierarchy, and this creates a little bit of that. It's still a that garage was always sort of a secondary character. The main character here is the front of the house, and that garage was always kind of hidden, and now I think we're just telling another beautiful chapter in the story of this home by creating like a vista, a termination to that driveway. But I'm always happy to look at the fenestration and the roof.
Yeah, I would echo those comments, especially at the rear. So that rear, we are asking for a variance here, right? From the existing, so it's an existing non-conforming use on the ground floor, but we're adding to it, right? So again, in concept, I don't have a problem with it. I think it respects the existing house, but that rear elevation, the west elevation, is pretty massive, right? It's getting massive, and I think maybe doing something with a roof over the rest of, over the kind of the right side of it may help, right?
Yeah, I agree. If that was gone, and we even articulate, this parapet somehow.
Yeah,
it
so
could
maybe
be-
going to a flat roof there or something to alleviate kind of that rear elevation, which is,
I agree with that comment.
Questions? Any further? Ms. Alvarez?
No, I agree with Alex's comments. I have a question that doesn't affect the application too much, but I was just curious. So it seems like the house and the garage just touch in the corner like that. Is it for zoning purposes? Is that still considered detached? When you did the zoning
I don't know. I
calculations?
think we would have to ask zoning. I consider it attached.
You consider it attached?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then the numbers work out when you consider it attached?
Yes.
Okay.
We have all the.
And then I know it's very tricky to build a second story over an existing, especially older one-story, because the foundation's, usually not designed to hold a two-story. Have you
It's never.
looked into
It's
those
never too
challenges?
clean, but we've done multiple second-story additions. So what you end up doing is sort of creating columns, and in that portion of the structure, that portion of the wall, you kind of demo, and in that portion of the floor, you have to cut out a little bit of the slab and create a footing there. So these walls are load-bearing, so they have a continuous load. We're going to have to create point loads along that wall and create footings. So the slab will be cut, and where we're adding columns, we will have footings in those locations. It's something that's done whenever you do a second-story addition.
Okay.
It's not the cleanest. Some contractors will tell you demolish the whole thing and do it from scratch. But I've seen it done both ways.
Okay.
We could, when we look at those wall conditions, we can try to work with a steel element, which may be less intrusive than having a concrete column there. So we have options to try and not affect the originality of the garage.
I don't understand the objection to the thickening of the wall. I don't understand the objection to the thickening of the wall.
I don't either.
It doesn't bother me at all. I think it helps, because it defines that line. It separates the historic from what was an addition anyway.
Yeah.
That's my only comment.
Would probably help structurally too.
That's true.
Are there any other questions to the board? Okay, if not, Ms. Rolando.
I want to disclose that the applicant is a good friend of mine and a colleague, so, but I can be dispassionate and objective in my decision-making.
there any other questions of the board at this time? If not, we'll open this to the public. Is there any public comment? Anyone on Zoom? Anyone wish to speak for or against this? Okay. All right. There's no one on Zoom or anything? Okay, great. Then we'll close the public hearing and we'll come back to the board. Board, is there any final comments, suggestions, recommendations, or motions?
Just as an item, I agree with Donna. I don't think the thickening of the wall detracts. I think it's a good recommendation by the Board of Architects. And I agree with the conversations that we've had, particularly what Alex just mentioned is the extension of the pitch of that back roof on the existing. If you could consider perhaps flattening it out, I think it would be interesting.
Absolutely. I think it's a great point.
Mr. Silva, motion?
I'd be happy to make a motion.
Love for you too.
I'm going to combine the special certificate and the variance in one motion. That's okay. So I will make a motion to approve with the conditions noted above by staff with the following exceptions or changes. So condition number 1 is going to be edited to add specifically to investigate using a flat roof on that dog leg, and striking condition 6, which is the thickened wall in the garage. So that's my motion, and I'll complete it. So the conditions, as we just discussed, for an addition or alterations to the residence and site work on the property located 814 Santiago, to approve the issuance of a special certificate of appropriateness with the conditions just discussed. In addition, we would approve a variance to allow the addition to the auxiliary structure to the rear to have a rear setback of approximately 5 feet versus the required minimum rear setback in single-family residential districts of 10 feet. Okay.
I think they were asking for less.
All right, we have a motion on the table.
I'll second it.
We have a second by Mrs. Spain. Would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Alvarez?
Yes.
Ms. Shields?
Yes.
Ms. Rolando?
Yes.
Ms. Everett?
Yes.
Mr. Garcia Pons?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Spain?
Yes.
Ms. Deney?
Yes.
And Mr. Maxwell?
Yes. Motion passes unanimously. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. And good luck on continuing forward. It's always an interesting process. So thank you for a good presentation. Love your graphics. Okay, we're going to move on to the next item, please, which is case file COA SP 2026-002, an application for the issuance of a special certificate of appropriateness for the property located at 1116 Obispo Avenue, a contributing resource within the Obispo Avenue Historic District, legally described as Lot 8 and east one half of Lot 7 and Lot 9, Block 16, Coral Gables, Section C, Plat Book 8, page 26, Miami-Dade County Public Records. The application requests design approval for additions and alterations and site work.
Thank you.
Is there any,
Ex parte.
are there any recusals or anything? Okay, good show. Thank you, Peggy, for bringing that up.
Okay. Good afternoon. In May of 2008, the Obispo Avenue Historic District was listed in the Coral Gables Register of Historic Places. It is comprised of residences abutting Obispo Avenue. 1116 Obispo Avenue is considered a contributing resource within the district. The home was designed by William H. Merriam in 1941, assigned permit number 6362. Although alterations to the property have occurred, most of them have happened at the rear. The overall historic integrity of the home has been maintained. As mentioned, design approval for a 1- and 2-story addition at the rear is being requested, and a new driveway, interior renovations, and site work are also included within the application. The application, the proposed alterations to the residence are in keeping with the Secretary of Interior standards in that the essential form and integrity of the historic structure are being respected, and the new addition is located at the rear. Staff recommends recessing the addition away from the original loggia to create a clear distinction between the new addition and the original house on the east elevation, and to study reducing the height of the addition. Staff is recommending approval with the conditions noted. No, you're fine.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year. Good to see everybody again. Back with William H. Merriam. I'm joined by my clients and actually next door neighbors. They fell in love with the neighborhood, with the street, and with their next door neighbor. The clients earlier on in the year had approached this project with a different team, and they were not satisfied with the results and headed in a different direction. And subsequently, I got involved, and now we're here in front of you once again. Again, this is 1116 Obispo, my neighbor to the west. It's an existing home. Most of you are probably familiar with the street. The house had an addition done, I think it was 2018, a large terrace addition in the rear. And the original loggia had been enclosed. I'm not sure what year it was enclosed, but it had been altered. So aside from that, I think the majority of the house really stays intact and in very good shape. We were able to get microfilm of the house. I think there you can see the original nature of the loggia was really a porch, right? And it was enclosed into like a sunroom, family room type of scenario. The railing and the skirt roof element are intact. Anything below that is been altered and not original. It's quite a large lot, even for Obispo. It's almost 19,000 square feet. It's 125 by 150. The lots on Obispo are 150 deep, so we enjoy that luxury. There is one peculiar feature of the lot is that when the pool was created, it was created sort of in an unconventional location. So that starts to drive any future work or any future additions to the existing house. Thus why you will see that the addition kind of occurs towards my side. So I've been enjoying a park for the last 20 years, but obviously, that I do not control that. In this case, I kind of control it. Here, it's clear what's existing and what's new. So we're adding a 2-story element to the east, well set back from the front of the house, and a 1-story dining room behind the garage that will stay below the garage, so it's the roof will not be seen from the street. Just as a numbers thing, the house I counted has 12 corners. We're keeping 10 of the corners. So we're really making an effort to preserve the volumetric and the integrity of the house. We're way below any zoning, FAR, lot coverage, and we're not asking for any variances. There will be some interior demolition and reorganization of the first and second floor, so there will be a lot of structural work here. And again, we're adding on the ground floor, we're adding a family room, a dining room, a playroom. They have a growing family. Only one of the children is here, but they have 3. So, and I can hear them playing in the morning, so I can tell you they use a yard. And not an office, but then that's mislabeled there. We are adding a secondary stair to the new addition, and we're keeping the front foyer raised and the front porch and in that area there. And then on the second floor, it's going to be an upstairs family that will feed the existing 2 bedrooms and an additional bedroom, one for each child, and a master bedroom that give off to a roof deck that also comes down back into the yard with a rear stair. That's just an enlargement of the first floor and second floor. We've tried to break up the roofs to stay as low as possible. I think in this front elevation, you can see that yes, the addition is a bit higher than the existing house, but it's far back enough, in my opinion, that when you look at it in perspective, it's not going to overwhelm the house. And I think that even in staff's observance or conclusions or recommendations, they do say the addition is in the right place. We agree with them, and that it does not overwhelm the house. We agree with them. So, I think that we worked closely with staff because, we had several meetings with them. So we're always grateful for their comments and their suggestions. West elevation. That's the view from the rear. And here I think you can see that the essence of the house and, really the house itself remains intact on Obispo. The addition is far back enough where it feels secondary by all means. Even more on a front shot. Not even noticeable on the coming from the west heading east. And then, of course, in the back, that's where all the new program occurs. Again, always having to deal with the existing pool location and how we interact between the terrace space and the pool space and the garden space in between. This is our interpretation of the altered loggia. We are bringing the railing on the second floor back to the original railing design. We are refurbishing and reconstructing whatever part of the skirt roof needs work. And then what we thought was a good way to approach the loggia was to do full glass, but instead of doing the way some of the porches are enclosed where it's just a pane of glass, I've never been a big fan of that. It's to create like a railing height and then articulate the glass on the entire loggia. And I think the corner that Anna mentioned as a suggestion is, I don't know how to put it here, is right there, which I will agree is a good suggestion. I wish we would have looked at it or saw it sooner, but I don't think that it's a crucial move that has to happen for this project to really thrive and really survive. And then you get this kind of fun stair coming down from the deck where there's wide walls like the garage that came before you. Mm-hmm. And that was a VOA comment, as you know. So we can put planters on there and just, really give it a sculptural feel. And again, the renderings, but in elevation form. And, we're in agreement with 90% of staff's comment, except the two that I imagine you could imagine, which is the height. Our client is 6'3". I don't think that in general, aside from the height of the client, it's very hard to get to get clients to refurbish existing homes and add to them and try to remain with the heights of the homes of the 1940s or late 30s, because those homes did not have air conditioning, so the in-between floor, that sandwich piece is much smaller, it's usually 12 inches. In this home, the floor to floor is 9'4" minus a foot, so you have an 8'4" ceiling on the first floor, and then they have an 8-foot ceiling on the second floor. I mean, I think that's really a result of the times. If you go back to the old Spanish homes, they had the higher ceilings. When the economies got in trouble, then they built the way they built, same way that they built in the 70s with 8-foot ceilings. So the trick is always, or the nuance is always, how to marry the two. And in this case, I think that we're in a good enough spot where we're not overwhelming the existing home, but at the same time, we're providing what a modern home should have. So except for those two comments, we're willing to meet with staff over any of the other suggestions. I think there was one about the fenestration of the loggia. We can discuss that. And the rest, I think, are kind of standard as far as high-profile mountains. I don't know. There's another one that stands out. But that's it. I mean, I'm here for any questions. I'm happy to see you guys again.
Thank you. Okay, board, questions? Ms. Alvarez? You're queued up. I can see it.
No, I think it's a nice addition, a great strategy. I know with these projects, I've worked on them before, including a Kino and Elliott house on Asturia, which is similar. It's funny, it's a different architect, but it's very similar in design. So I think just that strategy of adding towards the back. I've also experienced the same challenges with the heights, because you want to give the house something. If you invest, if you make this investment, you want it to be as pleasant as possible. So it doesn't look out of scale to me. And these 2D drawings obviously, bring everything forward, but in reality, that's way far back. And I think there's a lot of play and, kind of very creative in the massing, so it doesn't feel overwhelming. So I support the project.
Thank you.
Well, I would agree
Ms.
with
Bain.
Anna. I would agree with Anna. I moved from a historic home. I was fortunate that it had a great room, so there's a double height ceiling in
Right.
it, so I didn't feel cramped, but you get upstairs in the bedrooms and it was 8-foot ceilings. And then I moved into a much smaller townhouse with the modern ceilings, and it feels more spacious. And I can't agree with you more that you should keep those ceiling heights the way they are, and the massing is fine with me.
Thank you. Again, I don't think we're going, we're doing 10-foot ceilings. I don't think that's something that's, we're not doing 12-foot ceilings or 11-foot ceilings or anything outside of the, we're not doing any developer-esque kind of volumes. So.
Yeah. But board, remember what we just voted on previously, because it's the same issue. Ceiling height, roof height.
The garage, the prior.
Yeah, I also agree with that.
Be fair.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Chair, I have a question for staff, if that's appropriate.
You may, Ms.
You had noted at the end of your staff observations that the paving configuration at the front should be minimized to reduce impact on the green space. However, that wasn't referred to anymore in the comments. I was just wondering, I agree that the paving does take away from the front yard. It's beautifully done, but I don't agree with that much.
I think that was just the way
paving.
with landscaping, and it didn't, I apologize because I know that I had included in the staff report, and I just hadn't really fortified it in the conditions, because when you look at the balance of the actual front yard, it wasn't taking up, because of the size of the yard, wasn't taking up as much that it felt overwhelming. In some cases, when we have the 50-foot lots, and someone's trying to do that, like either U-shape or the T-shape in front of the house, it kind of creates like a parking lot in front of the actual historic home. And in this case, since it's in the side yard, it wasn't as, I think, dominating. So
Okay,
it was
I
just something to
appreciate that.
consider.
I was just wondering, thank you.
Any further questions down here?
One for
Mr. Garcia-Ponce.
Mr. Collision.
Yes, Mr. Steve.
The height of the ground floor addition is the same as the height of the existing ground floor, or is that higher? Because I saw steps on the second floor.
No, yeah, that's a little bit higher. Yeah.
So the ground floor addition is taller than the existing ground floor.
What we are doing is we are maintaining the raised entry of the existing house, and then we're removing the crawl space on the existing house to lower the floor of the existing house to get a more equivalent height between the two.
And then on the second floor, at the extension, at the new
There's
bedroom,
steps.
there's a couple of steps?
There's a couple of steps.
That's
to accommodate a little bit the 10 feet on the first floor of the addition. So the existing house will have, let's say, like a 9.4 ceiling. The addition will have a 10-foot ceiling, so it's a little bit higher, and that's to accommodate that.
Because I tend to agree with staff. I know it's behind it. I know it's, the view that you have from an eye level is the perfect view, right, from a human eye level. There's just parts of it that do seem to be slightly more than it needs to be adjacent to an existing structure. Now that is, I don't know if 6 inches will make a difference, but there's something to the additional height that seems, I think, does affect the impact on the existing home.
Well, and if I don't know if we can go back to, if we can go back to the presentation. Ugh. That's the next one. So if you look at even on the front elevation, we make an effort to drop that area by the door to kind of, come to the level of the existing house. So there's even movement on the roof to work with the existing house, so it's not an abrupt change. Again, we feel that for this size lot and for this size house, I know that the project that came before you, we saw it at the board, and they did a great job, but it's a different scale. I mean, this is a big home. This is a much larger endeavor, let's just say. So,
Specifically on the second floor, what's the floor to ceiling of the existing versus the proposed floor to ceiling?
the existing is 8. That's going to remain. Yeah, the new is going to be 10. Yeah. I think it's 8. Let me see if it's less.
I think on the issue of height, I would agree with Anna. I think from the front facade, that to me, that step down in the roof line is enough to mitigate it. It's more obvious on the interior, on the backyard elevation, but to me that's okay, right? It's obviously an addition. It's to the rear, so I'm okay with the height. I had a question for staff though on their condition about the loggia separation.
Yes.
What did you want to pull away? The
Yeah.
2-story volume, like to totally disengage it from there?
Yeah, that's one of the things that if we could push the mass almost away so you could still get the 3 sides exposed. So I'm trying to find the
Page 3, can you go to A300? I think that rendering is pretty good.
going the wrong way.
So Anna, are you suggesting that the master bath not have access to the existing deck?
You would still be able to access the loggia area through the main house, like the original house still has access to that deck, and I think there's a gym maybe in plan.
No, I think on the second floor, Anna, but we're gonna they're gonna have the young children there, so they're not gonna have access to.
Oh, so they're closing, because right now
Well,
they
we're gonna have a
access-
door, but it's not gonna be. It's not. We don't want access there now. You know, we are stepping back from the second floor volume. It's only touching on the first floor. So in other words, when you view the, you know, what is truly the, you know, the entire second floor volume is, you know, legible and left intact. As a matter of fact, we went through great extents to create a flat roof area in the back to preserve the two-story volume that's on the breakfast and the bedroom upstairs, which, you know, in some other projects I've seen come by the board, they have not.
So the only access to the deck will be through the bathroom?
Right now through the bathroom, and then in the future, you know, when the kids grow and whatnot, it could be from the bedrooms too.
Probably more dangerous when they're older.
Again, the deck is an existing part of the house, so you know it's about as much as we can do without creating a door in bedroom number 2 or bedroom number 2
Where
really.
is the access now currently?
Bedroom number
The one that says
Yeah.
existing master.
3?
yeah, there was a reconfiguration of
Yeah, the master goes there.
there. The master bedroom used to be at the end of that of the house right there.
Okay.
So they had a door there. So we're replacing, it's the same opening, but with a window rather than a door. And again, this corner right here is remaining intact, completely overhang everything. And every other corner that you see here, except for that and that, are remaining intact. So, you know, we feel that, I mean, and we have made they love their house. They're not trying to redefine the house or, you know, we're just, they need the program and.
Board, okay. Do we have any other questions here?
There is another much larger deck with access to the master, correct?
Yes. Yes.
That's a 18 by 27
Correct.
larger. And how many square feet is the addition? I couldn't find
The
that.
addition's about 2,500 square feet, so we're about doubling the size of the house.
I think to go back to the loggia comment, I think just the two sides that are preserved basically and restored, I think is sufficient to not take away from its original.
Ms. Alvarez, please speak into the microphone.
I think the two sides that are preserved and restored are enough to to make that I guess respectful of the original architecture, in my opinion.
And for me, I thought since the loggia had already been altered, I mean, I didn't really. I mean, it's important, but it's not going to go. You know, it doesn't make any sense to turn it back into a porch, obviously. But I didn't think that you know. I thought the comment, yes, you know, it's a good observation, but I don't think it's a comment that makes or breaks, you know, the overall composition or the overall approach to, you know, the historic element of the addition.
All right, board, any further questions? If not, we're going to close this portion and open the public hearing. Are there anyone on Zoom? Is there anyone here to speak for or against this? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and come back to the board here. All right, board? Any final questions before we move to a motion?
No questions for the architect? You can sit down?
Yes? Okay,
Yeah.
good. So you're clear on the two items that I'm not in agreement with. Good.
So for the board, the addition is pretty far back on the lot. I'm still a little bit concerned at the 3-foot difference in the top of the beam between the front and the back one. I think it's right at the cusp of maybe being too much. So that's just sort of my concern is trying to work out the roof plan in a different way, and I couldn't do it. So I like the layout, I like the way it was thought through. For me, it's just that sort of, that height is a little bit much for me.
Ms. Alvarez, do you have anything? Ms. Spain? Mr. Silva? Ms. Dene?
I'm just having a problem with the height also.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to share.
I have a problem, the height, I think the scale probably works. For me, the only way I could justify it is it's set so far back. But I don't love that it's higher than the main structure. That's seems like it's lurking.
We just had this issue in the last house too, I mean, for the same thing, although
Yeah.
this is set back a little bit further.
Yeah, but it wasn't nearly as massive.
Yeah.
When you think about the prior project, it was like 3,500, 3,700 square feet, and then the addition was 600 plus. Here, it's doubling the size, and so I don't want it to be the monster in the backyard. It beautifully designed, you know, and I appreciate the amount of thought that went into it, and it just seems a little bit high.
Thank you. Ms. Everett?
I agree with the other comments, but it's beautiful. Very nicely done. That's enough said, yes.
Ms. Shield?
No.
Nothing? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
I can make a motion.
All right.
A motion to approve with the conditions, staff 3 through 9, and not 1 and 2 of lowering the height or detaching the loggia. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, so with those comments, the design proposal for an addition alterations to the residence and site work on the property located at 1116 Obispo Avenue, a contributing resource within the Obispo Avenue Historic District, legally described as Lot 8 and East half Lot 7 and Lot 9, Block 16, Coral Gables Section C, according to the plat thereof as recorded in Plat Book 8, page 26 of public records, and approve the issuance of a special certificate of appropriateness with the conditions I stated.
Okay, we have a motion on the table.
Could you repeat the modifications to the conditions?
She said between 3 and 9, so that would be excluding conditions 1 and 2. Is that correct, Anna?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Are you modifying, you're eliminating 1 and 2 entirely?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Attorney, do you have the motion? You have it recorded. Okay, good. All right, great. Just wanted to, because Ms. Alvarez speaks very little, very, very quietly. Okay. Okay, so we have a motion on the table. We have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second by Mrs. Spain. All right, would you please call the roll?
Actually, can I proffer,
We have a, yes?
can I proffer a friendly amendment?
Okay.
Would you consider lowering the height 1 foot?
I would prefer not, because I know the struggle.
I'd say no.
But, okay, no.
Thank you.
It's not in your nature to say no.
Ms. Shield?
No.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mr. Garcia Pons?
No.
Ms. Rolando,
No.
Ms. Everett,
Yes.
Ms. Alvarez,
Yes.
Ms. Spain,
Yes.
Ms. Dene,
No.
and Mr. Maxwell.
No. Motion fails 5-3. Okay, we can do another motion.
No, it's 4, right?
5-4. I would like to offer
5-4, right?
5-4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be 5.
I would like to proffer a separate motion, which is to approve with the conditions above, including a reduction in the height of the overall house by 1 foot, or the overall addition by 1 foot, and maintaining and removing condition number 2. So those conditions noted above, with the condition number 1 being a 1 foot reduction and condition number 2 eliminated for the design proposal for the addition and alterations at the residence and site work on the property located at 1116 Obispo Avenue, and approve and issue the issuance of a special certificate of appropriateness with the conditions noted previously.
Can we have some discussion on that?
Please.
We can. Discussion.
I'm just trying to think.
Do we need a second to discuss it?
Second.
Is 1 foot going to be enough to make that much of a difference? I mean, 3 feet seemed like a lot, but is 1 foot just trying to be a compromise and not really going to achieve what the goal would be?
3 feet is, I think, too much. The city staff is equal to or below. I don't think it has to be that, because I think the architect has made an effort to drop the roof and is trying to make some efforts. Again, I couldn't work out a roof plan to do anything differently. What I think is, I would propose, this is the effect of an interior change to get a 10-foot ceiling is impacting the whole project. If you drop the inside by 1 foot to 9 feet, I don't think it'll negatively impact the interior, and I think would substantially reduce the impact on the exterior. So that's why I'm proffering that motion. If anybody wants to make a motion to be more, I can make it between 1 and 3 or something, but I think a minimum of 1 feet, based on the roof line that I saw, would probably be enough, but that's just my opinion.
Thank you for that explanation. So we could give directions to staff to say between a certain footage and give staff some leeway to work with the owner then?
I can make it greater than 1 foot, 1 foot or greater.
Yes, that would be more comfortable for me.
Okay, I'm happy to make an amendment to the motion to be at least 1 foot.
1.
I would second that as modified.
Okay, so the amendment's been accepted by both the amendee and the amendor. Okay. Anything else, ladies and gentlemen? We'll call the question, please.
Ms. Everett,
Yes.
Ms. Spain,
No.
Mr. Silva,
I'll go along with this one. Yes.
Ms. Shield,
Yes.
Ms. Alvarez,
Yes.
Ms. Rolando,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia Ponce,
Yes.
Ms. Dene,
Yes.
and Mr. Maxwell.
Yes. Motion passes with everybody but one. So, okay, thank you very much. Maybe if the ceiling gets down a little low, look at an open ceiling, so it's a little more cathedral inside. I know you're tall, but
So we will work it out with you? Okay.
yeah.
Next item.
Thank you.
Okay, next
Thank you very
item.
much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the next item is case file COASP 2026-003, an application for the issuance of a special certificate of appropriateness for the property at 2039 Alhambra Circle, a contributing resource within the Alhambra Circle Historic District, legally described as Lot 1, Block 14, Coral Gables, Section E, Plat Book 8, page 13, Miami-Dade County, Florida. The application requests design approval for additions and alterations and site work.
Afternoon. This application is for 2039 Alhambra Circle. The Alhambra Circle Historic District, designated in 2008, comprises of 1- and 2-story residential properties built between the 1920s and the 1950s, and landscape features that abut Alhambra Circle. The single-family home at 2039 Alhambra Circle was designed in 1937, permit number 5056, by architect William Merriam. A screened porch addition was made to the rear of the home in 1965 that has since been removed. The home has undergone very minor alterations over the years since then, and it retains its historic integrity and contributes to the architectural fabric of the city. The application presented requests design approval for an addition and alterations to the residence and site work. The massing and location of the addition are most appropriate for the home like this one, being separated with a courtyard and extending into the rear yard. Little to no modifications are being made to the original house. The staff does have concern that the height of the addition overwhelms the original building and should be lowered. Staff is recommending approval with the conditions noted, and we'll let the applicant present.
You're back.
I'm back. I don't know, I don't think I said my name the first time. Peter Kilijian with PPKS Architects.
This is one of my favorites.
Representing William H. Merriam. So, I don't know, I think this is number 5 for William H. Merriam for me, so, including my house, obviously. Yeah, I think this, in comparison to the other William H. Merriam house, my next door neighbor, the partie on this one was a little clearer, just because of the nature of the existing home and also the nature of the lot. It's a long, thin lot rather than this expanse of a lot. So I'll just go through the slides quickly. Yeah. It's an existing 1-story home with a 2-story addition that was done, I think, in the later on in the 60s, maybe. The house is on Alhambra and Greenway, beautiful location. That's a historic picture. We were able to get the microfilms, and to note that he literally just added the 2nd story right next to the 1-story volume without much thought to integration of heights or anything like that. So I found that kind of not much finesse there, let's just say. There were some alterations that were done to that area there. That whole porch area was enclosed later on to be what it is nowadays, which is a complete 2-story volume. That's existing pictures of the home. That's the existing site. And then you can see that the addition occurs back here. We're separating it with a courtyard and then creating, balcony terrace space and pool area. We're complying with all the zoning calculations. And again, it's on the ground floor, we're adding a great room and a terrace and a small laundry room. And on the 2nd floor, we're adding a master bedroom, master bath with another bedroom. Trying to keep the roofs as simple as possible and clean as possible, and to reduce again the scale of it. In plan, we've offset the 2nd floor from the 1st floor element, which is quite a bit more complicated structurally, but it gives us, it breaks down that mass. And that's, that's where we're at. That's the project.
So you're more than doubling the size of of the building.
We're building to, yeah, we're building to what's allowed on the site, and I mean, in all honesty, I feel this was a much more successful project than the previous one, and out of the BOA, it was also better received than the other one. It was, it's a cleaner way to add to it, and there's much more separation. Again, the question of the height is back to the same discussion.
What are the interior floor to ceiling?
This is 10 and 9. This one's, the second floor is lower. So the problem with the height is not the ceiling height. It's the in between floor that, when you have air conditioning and plumbing and whatnot in that 2-foot space, that's what gives the house height.
You can flatten the gables.
The one thing that sorry. The one thing that I saw that, could help the transition here is that we have a gable there, and I think that can become a hip to kind of lower the scale of that, going from the existing to the new, because we do have that element is a hip on this side. So if this became a hip, I think that lowers the scale of, what this is to the new.
It would probably help.
Yeah.
It's
Huh?
just massive. I mean,
What's that room? That is, so that's this right here.
it's a whole nother house on a house.
Yeah.
Did you put any kind of defining line between the existing house and the new addition? The separation joint of some kind?
As you mean as a physical line or
Exactly.
well, let's see. The existing house ends there. It's there like that.
It'd be on the outside.
Huh?
On the outside.
On the outside, on the elevation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
You have the courtyard at the ground floor, and then at the second floor.
Yeah.
So I think the cursor's already on it, but that wall actually sits forward of the original.
The wall comes out, yeah.
And so there should be a line on the second floor also.
I mean, what I'm worried about is this is all going to read the same, because this is a newer house and the stucco's smooth, and so it's going to.
Oh yeah, there's no coplanar moments at all in the house. No, not anywhere.
Right, the wall.
Yeah, everything is juxtaposed. There's no place where the walls touch, if that's your concern with that.
Ms. Alvarez, you have a question?
Just because your question made me think of something else. I was wondering if there'd be an opportunity at that kind of threshold where the new touches the existing, if maybe almost the perimeter garden changes, so the garden walls are different, like, yeah? Okay.
I agree 100%. I was going to go there,
Oh.
so please go.
Okay. No, because I thought when I
You mean
see
here?
that rendering, which is
There?
beautiful with yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You have that condition, which is metal and masonry posts, but maybe the portion that would enclose the historic house could be lower in nature, maybe more solid, and then the wall design changes to correspond to the
Yeah,
addition?
that's a good observation, and yeah, I think that's something that we're open to easily. That's not and that's also, you know, that means the front of the house is a little bit more urban, while the rear of the house is a little bit more, yeah, more pastoral or more garden-like.
And is the edge of the house on the side setback? Like, I mean,
The edge of the house is, I believe so. Well, actually, the bay element here is on the setback, so everything else is further back. So it's setback more than the required setback.
Does it
I don't
may
know if
give
I
you the
have the
opportunity to start taller and then taper down? Like
I'm sorry, the what? Maybe
it
what?
may give you the opportunity to start taller when you're within the buildable area, and then once you get to the setback, to come down to a height
Well,
that's
and then
allowed.
that's why we did this here, that
Right.
we kind of created a one-story element, you know, along here,
Right.
so that the two-story element wasn't competing with that one, you know, on its face.
Mr. Silva?
So yeah, I agree with the comments. So far, I think the wall is gonna help a little bit, and I think you need to deal with that anyway because of the pool, right? Because we're on a side street, so.
Right, yeah, well, the area of the pool, yes.
Yeah, and that transition can happen maybe where we were talking before. I think in terms of partie, I think it makes a lot of sense. I appreciate that you're creating this little courtyard and stepping away. And you're stepping away in a one-story volume, except at that link at the top, right? So
Right.
that's a nice moment. On this one, though, I am a little bit concerned about the height. Just because this one is a 4-foot difference, right? It's a big difference. I think maybe looking at a hip, as you were suggesting, on all the corners of that top roof may help that.
Okay.
I think I would be okay actually leaving that gable at the bottom, but maybe
Right.
going to a hip on all the four ends of that second-story addition. At least it speaks more to the rest of the house. And
Well, and we had designed it with a hip, and I was worried that creating another hip was going to compete with the existing hip on the west. So it's always a balancing act of, you know, what, you know, do you, and having done already 5 of these, I know that, you know, the style and the era mixed hips and gables, you know, at will. So I wasn't worried about it being stylistically wrong, but I do agree with you. Creating hips will bring the scale down for sure. Yeah. And that's something we're open to. The wall we're open to, the creating more hips, I think it makes sense.
Ms. Rolando, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a real problem with the height and the scale. It seems to me it's almost as if the addition that ate the house. So, and there also seems to be this tension about where is the front facade? Is it along Alhambra or is it along South Greenway? So it seems to me as if you're changing the orientation of the home, you know, and I want to see how I'm kind of torn with that, but I really think that the scale is just way too high. So it's not that I object to your design at all. I frankly, if it weren't an addition, it'd be a fabulous. You know, I like what you're doing.
You're not going to hurt my feelings, don't worry.
But
But thank you.
these people are getting married, like the house and the addition. So that's I'm not comfortable with what it is. Although I like the pieces.
Right. Well, to address your comment of where the front is, and I don't know if my architect colleagues would concur. I mean, I think the Greenway elevation is also a front. So you have to treat it like a front. We can't treat that like a side elevation of a regular house, because then you'd be asking me, why is it so massive, and why is it lacking fenestration, and why is it, why isn't it, why aren't the volumes defined? And I do think that everything we've placed on that facade feels like a house or garden-esque, right? There's no, there's a courtyard, even though in this elevation you see the French doors there, but when you really look at it in real life, those are set back inside a courtyard. So there you can see that, the side of the house is basically, and in all reality, we could have treated that side yard as a side yard and really had more access to it, created, I don't know, doors that open up onto it. But the fact that the street is, even though it's a side yard and whatnot, but the street does have some prominence to it, and there's a little bit of formality to the street, we decided to, anything that faced the street was either a courtyard or an enclosed porch, rather than, doors that open up right into the space. So that was the thinking behind the side facade. The thing with this is that, I agree, it's a large addition, but it's a house that's right now underdeveloped. So it's hard to reconcile, an underdeveloped home with what can be, and I think you guys have done an incredible job of kind of the nuance of how do you get homeowners to, really invest into the historic properties, but at the same time get the value for the property. Really, that's really what this board is about, in my opinion. How do you do that in the best possible way, right? Same as the Board of Architects. How do we get people to develop in our city with the best possible architecture? So, for me, when the issues of scale, the size come about, like, you're doubling the house, that never really, when I'm at the board, it never really affects me, because what I really want is, if you're going to double the house, just make sure it's the best doubling you can do, right? Because those are your rights. And that's, you guys have a different purview because you have to protect the existing home, and I understand that. So, that issue of, it's getting so big, to me, it signals that it's not working for you guys, or it doesn't, there's things that still need to be done. But the actual size of it, for me, it's just make sure it's the best that it can be, right? Because, that should be the end goal for me, is how do you preserve the front of the house, the original house, and get what you can out of the property. So, I get your point, and that was our thinking behind, the side facade is, we need to address Greenway like if it was, like it was a front. We can't treat it as a side yard. So I hope that's not too long.
I have another comment.
Ms. Alvarez, you have another question?
But not if someone else has to speak.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So just listening to the comments, I was wondering if one option, only if the architect thinks that it's even worth entertaining. So you had that last slide you had up with the bird's eye view, where you could see it from above. So bedroom number 2.
Can we get it back up?
Yes, that one exactly. So bedroom number 2, which is, I guess, the part closest to the original house, and since that it creates like that cross roof, if that one has the opportunity to come down, so there's a transitioning in ceiling heights.
I don't know, but I think
you find that too compromising.
I think staff also mentioned something about that being a connector piece. I think so that may and that's why I was reacting to that, thinking of it as hip proof, because I did realize that that's where the most tension is, where the new meets the old, obviously. I don't, I'm thinking of strategies to lower the height. I don't know that. I have to check finished floors. I don't know if creating the new addition at a lower finished floor than the existing house, if that's, but to me, I think that looks kind of wonky, kind of strange. So Because what happens is this is, again, this is on crawl space, so that grows the house 2 feet, right? Were you to do a new home, you would be doing it, a foot, whatever, a foot 4 above the sidewalk, and that's it, or whatever the FEMA is. But so in an effort to keep the finished floor on the first floor at the same level, then now you're adding, another 1.5 feet to the height of the house. So yeah, it's a real issue, and I know, and we struggle with it, and I know you guys struggle with it, and it's I'm confident we'll get to a place where we're all in a good place. So, and that's why we're here.
Thank you very much. That's always good to hear.
Yeah.
And thank you for your flexibility. Okay, Mr.
Yeah, I have
Garcia. Oh,
Go ahead.
go ahead. He wants-
I just wanted to ask, so with the exception of condition 1, you're in agreement with all the other conditions of staff, and now I think I heard you say that you'd be willing to work with staff on condition 1?
Condition 1 is it's the height, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the height.
Yeah.
But there were several other conditions as well.
Yeah, the only one that I wasn't clear on is there's a comment there about adding a window to the west. I think there is a window on the west, Anna. I'm not sure.
Go to elevation. Oh, yes, okay, so I had a proposal that this wall was blank, apologize. I had one option.
You had an
Yeah.
option without, yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to highlight it so they can
So,
see.
yeah.
The window's already there.
Yeah, I think she
So
had
you
a condition to add a window to the west elevation.
Okay,
I don't know if she got an old file. Again, we have worked with staff.
Ours is blank.
Huh? Yours is fine? Yeah.
Oh, I see. what
Yeah.
you're-
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, that was, everything else we're fine with.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank
There
you.
was something about the curve detail.
Oh, there's a comment about,
Yeah,
oh,
just a black slide. Back.
Peggy, anything?
This one
Marlon?
here.
No.
Kelly?
Do you really want
Great.
those?
Okay.
So I have, Peter,
hold on.
We're still in public.
I think there's a comment about those details.
Mr. Garcia Ponce.
so
Yeah, go ahead.
can you go back to the A9 or A7?
Nine?
A7? So I think that's a good, no, sorry. A8. So I agree with my colleagues that the addition that's currently a gable, I think the one that is facing Alhambra should definitely be a hip, right? That's going to bring it down.
Yeah.
The one that's actually facing Greenway, could be a hip or a gable. It doesn't
We've done it
matter.
both ways.
But I think the one that's facing Alhambra should definitely be
I
that
agree.
to bring
I
it
agree
down.
100%.
If you can go back to page A5. So one of the concerns that I have, and I've heard on the dais is, and I love the drawing that says existing proposed, and you have a line.
Yeah.
Right? You're very clear. So the hip, I think, would help resolve the second floor, but it's still one long house, particularly when it's really an existing and a future. And I know that you've created the courtyard to separate them, and that physical courtyard is great.
Yeah.
Looking at this sheet, though, I had an idea, looking at it this morning. The screen above, oh, you took it off. On the drawing we have, in the openings of the porch, you have a sort of pattern. There's a hatching pattern. It's not there anymore, but it's on our set.
Where?
On the existing elevation,
Oh,
the rectangles on the screen porch, ours has a hatch on our drawings and yours doesn't. It doesn't matter, to the point. The thought I was having, though, is what could be interesting is looking at the courtyard that you're creating. It does seem kind of, not as an afterthought, but not quite all the way thought through. And it is accessible from all 3 rooms.
right.
I wasn't sure if it was the intention that that be a front access or an exit from the building, as some of my board members mentioned. But it would seem that it's almost competing with the front.
But that door, we can make that, if you're,
Wait,
okay, go ahead.
wait. So my suggestion is, the courtyard is beautiful, and the 3 things that open up into it would you consider possibly removing the stair access out and then creating a screen, a beautiful screen that connects the old house and the new house? Go to the elevation. A5. So that instead of seeing the back wall of the courtyard, you actually have a beautiful screen at the front that really creates this persiana, this sort of shutter thing that very clearly defines what is existing versus what is proposed, unless you really need that access, because I don't think you wanted one. It looks like you're putting it there. And or if you want to, you can actually put a door in that screen.
Yeah.
But there's something to really physically changing the materiality. There was some question of is you have a joint, you have a cut, and I think the courtyard is great, and the tree might actually do it. Peter, I'm not sure if the landscaping will do it, but I'm sure some sort of a physical screen in the front would separate them in an interesting way.
Also, you have much more privacy with
So
the
much more
screen,
privacy.
because that's such a heavily traphicked
Proposing
pedestrian area.
No, it's just,
close to the side of the road.
just like a
So,
wall.
yeah.
Screen wall.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking like just a screen wall,
A
not-
lace,
without a
a
roof
lacy
or anything.
screen.
Yeah. Okay.
And it wouldn't have to be full
We can
height or
study that.
anything. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just so he's
Yeah.
saying that eliminate the stairway and then put in some kind of screen. Does
Yeah,
not have
the
to be full height
the
or
other, yeah,
anything.
and to add to your comments, I think that the connector piece here, this. So we can create a hip roof there, and we can try to lower it also that so that like the other William Merriam house, that was the telescoping house. So then this telescopes up. So that's a strategy that that can help with this, and we'd be willing to study that. And that can be a combination of lowering and even right now the roof is an asymmetrical roof here. So that we can even expand on that, where one side is, and that helps the architecture of the house as well. So I'm willing to proffer that, or to work with staff on that, or come back, whatever you guys want. The screen, I'm willing to study the screen, huh? Yeah, and then if it's successful, I'm willing to leave it. If not, you guys,
And I said screen because I think it would be cool, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean, like,
Right.
anything that maybe changes the character of that, even that back wall where the door is,
Yeah.
so that it's not the same stucco that just wraps all around. If something happens that very clearly differentiates
the
that
old and the new.
courtyard, not just as the opening, which is fantastic, if there's something materially,
Yeah,
would be interesting.
yeah. I don't know if replacing the door with windows on that back wall helps to your point of not worrying about what's the front. I don't know if when you look at that side elevation, you're thinking when you see those doors that
Well,
kind of
if it's a
signals front.
screen, then the aspect
Yeah,
of
privacy.
an
Yeah.
entry disappears.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay.
it almost becomes like this private enclave.
Okay, we'll happily study that. I mean, and
courtyard's really
we'll
good.
set it back so it's not flush with, obviously.
And I'm looking at the floor plan,
Yeah.
right? It's a hallway back there that leads to the powder room.
Right.
So if you change the character of the back wall from a double door into a hallway, if that becomes more of
Yeah.
kind of a loggia or something that comes
That's
across.
I think that's what you were alluding to,
Yeah,
like doing just windows all the way across, making it more transparent so that there's a distinction between like masonry wall,
Yeah.
and having more.
Something.
We studied that originally as well. We were back and forth. Yeah.
Merriman loves circular windows.
Yeah. I know. But do you guys love when I repeat the circular windows from when it's you guys always have us on the ropes. We don't know which way to turn.
One last thing for me, it's with the courtyard, and it'll be part of the solution, but the repetition of the half moon stairs, I think you should do something else as opposed to redo the front door, the great
Yeah.
room door.
Oh, yeah, the front
Just choose something else.
Yeah. You mean for stepping out of the courtyard?
Either not have it if it's a
Not
screen,
have it if
or,
yeah.
or
no, I
just
get it, I get it,
rethink
yeah.
the way it looks.
Yeah, that's not a
Yeah,
that's
speaking
that's
to like to
inconsequential
the
to
covered
me.
terrace steps, which are more
Yeah,
simple,
yeah,
square off.
that's for me is not a
You have to promise that there will be no tail or hump on these plans.
no what? I'm sorry.
Tail or hump on these plans, since
Tail
they've
or
been made by
hump?
committee. It's not a true camel.
Oh, no, no, please,
No, it's a good effort on a really difficult site and with a very difficult property to add something to today, by today's standards. So, let us just say that we all feel your pain up here.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and trying to come up with something that works very
No,
well.
no,
for you.
and I appreciate the attention to to make this, a better, so I'm not,
We appreciate your willingness to work with us too, let me tell you. So that's something. Board, is there any further questions here so that we can close this portion and move to the public hearing? At which time I will ask if there's anyone on Zoom, if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this. Hearing none, we're going to close the public hearing and move this back to the board for action.
thank you, guys.
So thank you.
So
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation.
through the chair,
Mr. Garcia Pons.
there was one comment, and I wish I would have done it before with number 8 from staff with, we're talking about the curly cues.
Oh, I didn't hear where that landed.
So he said he'd be happy to work with people, but I was really thinking, what does the board think of staff's recommendation?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking it's nice for the design. I didn't understand the staff felt strong.
Number 8.
Number 8.
Number 8 is the,
It felt a little out of character because there's no other curved wall or
I saw it.
swirly design
like
on the
it.
rest of the house. Or, maybe it's just a little bit simpler than, it adds some thickness to it that I don't think is needed, but it's up
So-
to you all.
Anna, is it on page, is it the little curly cues on top of on the second floor or at
porch.
the ground floor?
On the second, can we get the drawings
And then
back
the
up,
one that
please?
rolls,
Tell us what sheet it appears on.
A5 and A6.
Yeah, what we have is, this is retro 20s.
So there's these little elements here
Yeah.
that kind of come off and right here on the second floor porch. So it kind of adds a thickness and curved element that doesn't exist in the rest of the house, so it felt out of character.
You're going too far.
Yeah,
Oh.
the house is very angular and this sort of
Right.
transitional art
So
deco.
these portions here and here.
Those
And
are
then the
very
other side.
20s.
Okay,
rather
And
than-
then, right, and then it
Six.
imitates it on the back. So it creates kind of like this
it's
stepped
like
effect.
simplifying, yeah.
I think everything else is kind of rectilinear and it would feel more in character with the house, but
Okay.
Yeah, a little more step, a little more in that, the architectural tradition of the original house, I think would be really more appropriate for that particular kind of detail.
Nothing you've said hurts me except that.
of all the things.
Okay.
You're
we're
holding
getting
Of all the
ready here.
things,
We're getting ready for a motion.
my
so
my
hang-
scrolls,
hang
Yeah.
on.
now I will not sleep.
We're going through.
In all honesty, thank you, though.
Okay, we've got a motion that's percolating. It's coming.
Oh, I don't know.
You got
Yeah,
it.
So,
right?
so I'll make a motion.
Go for it, Alex.
Try anyway.
Okay, we have a motion on the table here that's coming up.
Yeah, no, I haven't made it. I will make a motion to approve with the conditions noted above with the following additions or exemptions. So condition number 1, which was to work with staff to lower the overall height of the addition, that one will remain, but be edited to include our discussion, which meant studying possible hips and still possibly lowering somewhat. And then adding, all the other comments would remain as well, and adding comment number 14, which is to study the connector piece at the ground floor to possibly be loggia with kind of windows and columns, or a screen, or some sort of difference for our discussions.
And you're keeping item number 8.
Number 8. Yes, I'm
Just
keeping
checking.
that, yeah. So to continue the motion, a motion to approve with the conditions noted above and as just described, the design proposal for an addition and alterations to the residence and site work on the property located at 2039 Alhambra Circle. as described in the document, and to approve the issuance of a special certificate of appropriateness with the conditions noted and as described.
All right, we have a motion on the table, ladies and gentlemen. Like a second?
I can second that. I'll second the
Second by
motion.
Ms. Janae.
Oh, sorry. Wait, is it too late for a friendly amendment?
No, it's yours.
Okay, are there any amendments or anything? Ms. Alvarez?
Entertain a friendly amendment.
I would.
What is it?
It's to incorporate that requirement on the low wall as well.
Oh, the fence.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
So we added that in.
Yes, I second it.
What was
Explain it
the
again.
amendment?
So we were, the exterior wall, which we're looking at, was a series of pilasters and metal work in between. We asked that at the point where the house, on the greenway elevation, where the house transitions from existing to new, that it becomes a low, solid wall, which he's gonna need anyway to screen the pool, but that transition happens at the transition point from.
So just to be clear, transparent in the front, solid in the rear, right? Or are you saying the other way?
I would just say different,
You were saying it
work
differently.
with city, work with staff.
Was-
So
okay.
differentiate
feel
So the board can
wall
see-
condition to reflect the
Would
conditions
you
of
pull the
existing
site plan up, please, just real quick? I mean,
Yep.
so that you can show the board where that is.
Could we
so
please
that
have the plans up again? Thank you.
That's gonna need to happen
I
anyway.
think it's in the rendering.
Lining that.
So you,
Here you are.
you want a differentiation happening somewhere around here so that the front,
Right.
the original front facing Alhambra is one condition, and then what comes toward the back.
And returning to the house.
Right.
Yeah,
on
it's
Alhambra.
it's
Yeah,
only
return to the
solid
house.
from there to the east.
So this L would be one, and then the extension toward the rear.
Correct.
Right, but
would
we don't,
be.
we don't want to design it for you, just work with
But, okay,
staff.
so
Anything else?
I accept
Yeah, no, I
my
got
own
it.
amendment then.
Yeah, no, Perfect.
And Ms.
I second.
Ms.
We
Janae
have a
accepts that.
second for the amendment. Okay. Anything else, ladies and gentlemen? If not, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Alvarez,
Yes.
Ms. Shield,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia Ponce,
Yes.
Ms. Rolando,
Yes.
Ms. Spain,
Yes.
Ms. Ebert,
Yes.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
okay, Ms. Dunay,
Yes.
and Mr. Maxwell.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes unanimously. I want to thank you, Mr. Architect, for a great presentation. Thank you very much. We've moved that on.
Thank you and good seeing you.
And thank you for working with the board. It's sincerely appreciated. And by the way, keep preserving William Merriman homes.
And I like the curly Q. I like that. But anyway.
Okay. Ms. Piernes, we have old business today. I mean, some of us, like me, are old on here, but
I don't know if they're old business or they fall into the following categories.
just whatever we've got.
I just had an update for you to let you know that, if you all recall, the city commission had approved to write a letter to the state regarding the reconstruction of the gondola building, for it to be allowed to be reconstructed at near the tennis center. They did receive approval from the State Historic Preservation Office on that light site, so they're working on moving forward.
To the tennis center.
Yes.
Yeah. See if you can get a reconstruction of the William Merriman house that we're going to lose.
Well, that's neither here nor there. And then the other item I had for you was just an update from Stephanie, because I know that we had discussed at the last meeting putting time limits on presentations, and so she would be working on that. She wasn't here today, so she'll update you all at the next meeting.
Thank you.
And that's all I had.
Our next meeting will be scheduled for the Fire and Police Building.
No, we're still be at City Hall as of now for February 12th.
Okay, very good. You'll just let us know when that is. Okay, is there anything else
send
that
us
any of
when
the board
the-
members
the
want to bring up as new
Future
business?
meetings are going to be.
Hold on. You're both.
So we,
Can you just send us when we're supposed to meet in the future?
Yes.
Because my
Yeah.
calendar is totally messed up.
So the meeting dates and deadlines, the meeting dates were approved at the December hearing. There was an attachment there, but we'll send out calendar invites specifically. So if you have anything on your calendar, just go ahead and delete it, because it might just be something that was repeating
Right.
for like the third Wednesday or whatever it was. Because we are going to be moving to the fire and police station, some of the meetings get a little funky in between because we're kind of having to follow a city commission agenda rather than just being the third Wednesday or the third Thursday. So Evelisa is going to work on sending out meet calendar invites so that everyone has them on their calendar. And that's based off the dates that we provided to you in December. And we can recirculate that easily.
Oh, so the dates that you gave us in
Yeah,
December?
that hasn't changed.
Okay.
Yeah. At some point between March and April, it will be when we move to the police station. So we'll let you know in advance.
And February, March are the second Tuesday, so they're not the third Tuesday. So next month, the
Thursday.
next one, or
Yeah,
excuse me,
right.
Thursdays, the 12th in March. One question, this I was going to ask to the city attorney, but it can also wait till the next city attorney or our regular city attorney comes back. And it's a question with regards to timelines and the process of motions that are approved here at the board. Once we make them, how do they get recorded? Is there a time limit? Does it go to somebody? Like what happens from today, the motions that we made today, what happens next?
You're talking about the approval?
Any motion that we make approval, yes, any
I believe
approval.
they have 18 months to full permit.
No, that's not the question.
No, you're saying when they get recorded?
Yeah, what happens after we make a motion here? How does it get codified? Who reviews it? Does it go to commission? Who
So-
writes the motion? Who approves the motion?
So the
And
letter,
what triggers the
Right, so
appeal period?
is that the question?
So that's like part two of the
Okay.
question.
Part two.
So once the board, what the staff does after is that we write a result letter and then we issue a certificate of appropriateness that has all the conditions listed. When the applicant goes to apply for their building permit, ideally they have then satisfied all of those conditions. They'll submit for the building permit, upload a copy of that letter within the timely manner of it's 2 years with a year extension. And then it gets reviewed at the staff level, and if anything isn't satisfied within those conditions, we give, a rejection of the plan review process, and then it comes back to us. If for whatever reason none of those conditions are,
Okay, that's not my question, but it is probably maybe
that's where
somebody.
the letter comes in. But you're asking about the actual
I'm
recording.
gonna ask it again.
Yeah.
Okay, we make a motion today.
Mhm.
And then somebody writes it down and then puts it in the minutes. How does the final motion get made? Because you heard, we didn't say the words verbatim, that what's gonna get written down. in
Right.
the
So that's
report
where the
is.
result letter comes.
And the result letter, is there any timeline requirements on the result letter?
No.
You have to do it within a certain amount of time. So the next time that we see that is in the minutes of the next meeting.
No, usually the minutes that you're seeing is mostly verbatim it'll be different from what's in the letter. Ours is kind of simplified. So sometimes if the letters are I see what you're saying now, I think. So you want the result letter, we'll be using, moving forward, we'll use the result letters and the conditions that are codified in the staff's, in the discussion that we've had today as part of the minutes in the motion. So you want to see that the minutes in the motion is the same as what the COA is going to say,
Well, I
think.
I just had a question. It wasn't what I want to see is,
Right.
I was unclear. As after we make a motion that's approved,
Right.
and then it leaves the board and we never see it again, how do we know, other than the summary, meeting summary minutes, if the motion is correct? Like, I just
The
want to
meeting
get a
summary
sense.
minutes should reflect what your motion is,
Right, which will be a month later.
right?
My question is
And that
there,
letter of, that COA result letter and the COA will have the same language. If maybe some alterations in like the verbiage, because different people are writing them, but it captures what you should be, like, we can't change the motion within the result letter.
so that's my question is,
Right.
if the motion is unclear, as sometimes it is up here,
Yes,
somebody's making an interpretation of that motion
yes,
and then going forward with it.
right. So
How does the board know that the interpretation of the motion is accurate?
they should be the same. And if you're seeing minutes the following month and saying, that's not what I said, or that's not what I meant, then we can alter or, review the meeting minutes and the video to make sure. But they should be captured
be.
in
Now
the same way.
What is it, the letter that you said that you wrote?
Like a result letter, and we issue a certificate of appropriateness that has the conditions listed at the
And the
rear.
result letter is what? What does that do? Where does it go?
That this project has been reviewed by the Historic Preservation Board by X day. The modifications to the building were found to be acceptable. They made the Secretary of Interior standards. The board made the motion to approve with the conditions noted below. And then there's a separate sheet that has the conditions that, you know, reflect the ones obviously today with the amendments that we made, and then they act on that.
And where does that result letter live?
That result letter lives on our drive and with the property owner mailed to them or emailed to them.
Okay, and so the clarity is, again, sometimes our motions are
Yep, so if you're,
rambling,
yes.
and somebody has
know.
to synthesize them, and they're not always 100% accurate, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times they're really, really close. And I just wasn't sure if there was a step where the makers of the motion or the chair or somebody can look at it. That's not the next meeting minute, or excuse
Right.
me. And if it matters.
And I know in the past, oh, sorry, finish.
And if it matters, because if we see that there was an error the
Mm-hmm.
following month, the letter that you wrote is something that you can amend.
Right.
So you can go back.
Yeah, as long as it's
amend your
within the
result
actual
letter.
motion that was made that day.
Yeah, correct.
If it was a mistake,
So the result letter isn't final and it's etched in stone and you can never look at it again.
right.
If we all deem that it needs to be corrected in some way, you can correct it for the
Right, the
record.
same way we amend
That
the
was my
minutes.
question.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think that's it's really important too, because I remember a few meetings back I asked to defer, and that was because I'd seen that there was a correction that needed to be made on a motion that I had made, and then I had the opportunity to fix it.
Yeah.
And we could just address it at the following meeting. So I think there's opportunities, and the maker of any motion, even when it fails, should
Yeah.
check it out and just make sure that
And
the language is what they meant.
I think
Yeah.
even today, one of the motions was like, as discussed, like per the discussion had, study this. It's like, okay. So we try to capture that within the next step, but if you see something that, you know, we didn't understand you meant a hip here and a gable there, then, you know, we could change that. As long as it was within the discussion, and we'll confirm it with the video.
What is the event that triggers, or the point in time where the appeal period starts?
Today, the motion.
Today?
The date's made.
Okay.
Yeah, the action of the board, the day the action is taken.
And then how long do they have to make the appeal?
10 days.
They have 10 days.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Margaret?
I have just one question, totally off the subject. Anything new on 1021 Hardy?
I have a follow-up meeting actually with the manager on Tuesday to talk about 1021 Hardy and to talk about 1028 Cotorro, which is Mrs. Schmidt that had been coming to the meeting a couple times, and I've been in touch with her too. So we're working on
So you're
on it
meeting,
together.
it's next week, or it just happened?
It's coming up Tuesday
Yep, okay.
afternoon. Yes, and I maybe Gus has the information on the court hearing the
No, we're
judge.
pending that hearing. We're pending that meeting.
And a question for you about the house on Sevilla.
We're going out there tomorrow at 12:30
Oh my
because
God,
they
I mean, it's a shell.
yes. So
It is.
So we're gonna go meet with the structural engineer, their structural engineer, our structural engineer, building official, all of our team.
They've gutted it. I mean, there's nothing
So they were
left.
gutting it,
Just the
and
walls
we're gonna
and
go
the-
make sure that
yeah.
how they've stabilized it is correct.
Which house?
1129 Sevilla.
We've looked at this for a number of years. We've all been
Yeah.
kind of following it. A comment to the board. Board, we're losing property like nobody's business. I want you to drive around, particularly in the core area of the main historic districts, okay, north of Byrd, okay, and drive around. I want you to see how many houses are being torn down, okay? So when we come up to things like the William Merriman House in a district that's a contributing structure, we need to begin to look at these, and we need to look at them carefully. The vast majority of all the property ever built in Coral Gables was built in the 50s and early 60s. And so we have this ubiquitous number of homes that everybody says, oh, that's just normal. But I want you to remember something. When I came here almost 50 years ago, it was, oh, those old houses, okay? And now we look at them like they're sacred treasures. So while we're going to be losing a lot of these 50s things, we need to be on the lookout for the best examples of what we have left, okay? And to identify them and even bring them up to the board, bring them up to the historic preservation officer, and to see this. we're most endangered of losing our 30s and our 50s houses right now. So we need to be very careful in looking at that, all right? And so I know we've brought up a number of things. We've also, every time that we've tried to designate one of these and they've gone forward, we've lost, okay? One of the things that I have spoken to several of the commissioners about is we can't compare these houses or any house to any place other than Coral Gables. And that's what's happening. I mean, we had an architect come in here and tell us that a very historic building at the University of Miami was not historic. And his comparisons are the University of Virginia, this and that. We can't let that happen. What has to happen is that the designation is based on what is here, not in the University of Virginia or New York or anywhere else. A local designation is a local designation, and it's not comparable to any place else in the country. This place is unique. And so please keep that in mind as we're going forward, because we're under threat right now. And all I got to tell you is in my neighborhood, and I'm over here by the Granada Circle, there's a dozen houses that have been torn down or are in the process of being torn down within about an 8 block by 8 block area. It's just, boom, they're going. So.
But that shouldn't be happening because every demolition has to go to the preservation officer.
It's
I
happening.
mean, that's what prevents it in this. We have that in the code that says any demolition needs to be reviewed by the preservation staff.
On Palermo, between Segovia and my house and my apartment on Granada, there are 4 demolitions that have occurred, okay?
And they must have been approved by staff.
I understand that. I mean, I'm getting there. And then also a large apartment complex that was done in the 50s.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but there is a process in place that's happening.
I
So it's not
understand
like they're coming in overnight and demolishing things.
It's all
without
about us
applying.
taking a look at it and then trying to be advocates for it as well. So, because we're the advocates, okay? In addition to a quasi-judicial board, we need to be talking about what it is that we need to save in our community. And so that's important. It really is. And I appreciate all of you, submitting your time.
Was there supposed to be a North Pond study?
Yes, so that's in place and has been ongoing. We're meeting with the consultant tomorrow, actually, to go over the first step. They've already done all the legwork, filled out the Florida master site files, did all the photos, everything. So now we're just talking about how to package it together. So it's ready to present, hopefully soon, within the next month or 2.
And that will go to?
We'll review it here, we'll present it here. It's just a survey, so it's just, discussing about what's there, what's existing, and then seeing how we study it to take action, if we take action, how we take action.
And the North Pond study is from where?
It included North Ponds and it included the Flagler section as well, so it went beyond,
8th
yeah, 8th Street.
And that's from Coral Way all the way up.
I believe it's from Aragon, not Coral Way. I'll double check. It starts behind Coral Way. It doesn't start at Coral Way.
Does it start at Alhambra?
That's what I wondered, Alhambra Circle.
Yes, it goes all the way across.
So you think it starts on Alcazar?
I'll confirm the streets, but we already had it set from the North Ponds section that was studied for the zoning
They
code.
identified all the commercial buildings as well too, right?
Yes, it's every structure. Yeah, every structure within 50 years.
Got some great stuff up there, guys.
So that'll include some of those more modern or, buildings, modern 1950s, 60s.
Well, I think unless the 50s building is in a district, how are we going to designate it? I mean, I think, and, I remember a time in Miami history when the 1920s buildings were considered very antiquated and old-fashioned. So there's still, there's still that attitude towards the 1950s.
I think you're pretty correct, and Ms. Paredes can, the more that we can do larger historic districts, we can include things, and that's really a push. And speaking to the commissioner that sponsored you is important about those kinds of things. I mean, it's about coming up with money. There's a budget that's going to be coming up, this spring, and, these things need to be looked at,
Yeah, they're already talking about scheduling the first budget meetings, the staff internal ones, beginning in February.
Yeah,
So everything got pushed up, I think, like 3 weeks.
yeah. It's important, historic districts are expanding the number of historic districts that we have is really important. And because it captures all of these things and identifies them in here, and it makes the job much easier for the staff, makes it much easier for us, and we don't have to expend the cost of having all these individual designations, which we don't necessarily need to have. I mean, the code's pretty good. Yes, ma'am.
But I also think a big burden should fall to the realtors that are selling these houses so that they know that it happens all the time, that people say, oh, I didn't know that, and I know you do meet with realtors, don't you?
Oh yeah, we get phone calls all the time, and we also get phone calls from potential buyers saying, oh, so I heard that this could be demolished, and we immediately tell them, no, absolutely not. There's a process. I review demolitions, like Donna said, for every single demolition in the city. The building could be built in 2020, and I'm still reviewing its demolition. So I've gone to, there's a Realtors Association that has a yearly meeting that I've gone, and that's pretty much the only thing I tell them, is that you really need to understand that there's no such thing as a vacant lot in Coral Gables unless if there's a building on it, because it needs to come through our office for approval. But you see it all the time, or you see phrasing that's a little tricky, I guess, and they say, well, we didn't say it was, a vacant lot, but it's a development opportunity.
Everything's
It's a
a development.
scraper.
It's Miami. Everything's a development opportunity. One last thing, and this is for the board. We spoke previously about limiting the time on presentations. Is there sort of a consensus of the board that we would like to limit most of the presentations to a half hour?
I don't think that's a good idea. Just throwing it out. I think that particularly for contentious designations, that we don't want to have someone say that this board, that they had a lot more to say, but the board denied them the ability to say it. So,
But you're only speaking of presentations, because we're not limiting any questions or, after the presentation. I think it came up because there was a 45-minute presentation on something that just was repeating what, it's a waste of the time of the people that are here for their hearings too, for their time too. I don't think it's, I think, I wouldn't limit debate or questions or anything. I wouldn't recommend that, but I think the architect's presentation.
I thought that we had asked Ms. Throckmorton to look into that, right?
So Stephanie was going to be looking at other municipalities to see if that exists. I think there were some concerns of like what Donna was saying about limiting that, especially in a quasi-judicial hearing, and that's their evidence for the next step if there is appealed.
but I think as long as they know when going into
Right,
it,
so-
that they only have a certain number, then I'm fine with it.
Right, so that's where whether we adopt something like that, that it's then our policy that it's always going to be moving forward for any application. It's not just.
Everyone, right.
That's
Right.
correct. I actually did a little bit of research on this, and there are other cities that do have guidelines and do place limits. They're somewhat flexible because, to Donna's point, you don't want anybody to be able to go on appeal and say,
Right.
hey, look what they did.
And I think
Right.
what'll happen a lot is that if they're not done, they're gonna ask you all for additional time. And then it'll be on you all to say yes or no, and then you come to the place of, are we limiting people's discussion or they're not done presenting? So that you might have to just take it step by step, but as long as we notify them in advance, then
Yeah, I think
our
it's just a
policy.
good
But that's what
idea
Stephanie was gonna be returning
to
back
have
to
some
you all.
guidelines.
Yeah, and following up
forward, yeah.
from what Ms. Throckmorton had said last time, it was about developing guidelines and advising people in advance of
Right.
the meeting. And so that's why I'm sort of, bringing this to the board so that we can begin to move on this and you can think about it. Ms. Bain, totally agree with you. Cannot limit anybody's questions. We'll go on, but we could ask them to minimize a presentation so it's fair for everybody.
But it should be written down in an application, so in case staff doesn't tell them
Exactly.
something, that they know in advance.
that's where we're trying to
It should
go.
be,
And it would also apply to staff. So like staff's presentation wouldn't exceed that time either.
And it has to be on some document that's online, so
Right.
it would
Right.
all be public
Right.
to be accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get this, we'll pick this up again next month and everything like that. So, any further discussion items? If not,
Party.
but no, can't talk about that
After that,
on,
we don't need to present.
on here. We have to turn this off now. Okay. Motion to adjourn? Motion granted. Okay.
Thank you.
Now,